the people and out of the hands of dictators. And we're here to say that the era of Trump and Zeldin and Molinaro, just jump on a bus and head down to Florida where you belong, okay? Get out of town. Get out of town.
Now remember that saying, get out of town, get out of town. Now let's look and see what Governor Hochul is saying at present day to the citizens of New York and to the United States of America. Listen to this.
High net worth to support the generous social programs that we want to have in our state. Right? Now, there are some patriotic millionaires who stepped up. Okay, cut me the checks. I mean, just if you want to be supportive, but maybe the first step should be go down to Palm Beach and see who you can bring back home, because our tax base has been eroded. So I philosophically don't have a problem. It is like I have to look at the fact that we are in competition with other states who have less of a tax burden on their corporations and their individuals. And I would say remote work changed everything. There were people who could only work in an office in Manhattan or work in New York State, and they were captives to our state. They were going to stay. We've saw that that's not the case. I mean, you know, Wall Street, businesses looking at Texas, they're not going there because they have a nicer governor.
Well, welcome everyone back to the Everyday Rampant, and we're going to talk about what is happening now. Now let's talk about America and what is currently happening now, because there is a divide in the country and it has never been clearer. On one side, you have states that are thriving, and on the other, states that are struggling, like New York. And interestingly, that divide often falls along red versus blue lines. And we're going to start with what should be the greatest state, or what used to be the greatest state in the world, New York State, New York City. And it's honestly sad what has happened there. So Governor Hochul is now openly asking wealthy residents to come back because the state is losing the very tax base it depends on. She's losing them. She's lost them, actually. Think about it. The same leadership that once dismissed or even pushed out high earners is now saying, we need you back and we need your money. Why? Because those general social programs, they don't fund themselves. Anybody with common sense would know this. But here's the problem. People didn't just randomly leave. They left because of policy. They left because of high taxes. They left because they realized they didn't have to stay here anymore. They didn't have to stay in New York. And then again, remote work changed everything. People who were once tied to Manhattan offices suddenly had freedom. And when they got that freedom, they made a choice. They went where the money goes further. They went where taxes are lower. And they went where quality of life is better. And it's places like Florida and Texas that are thriving. These are all red states. And now New York is feeling the consequences. Let's be real for just a second. Let's just be honest. You can't tell people to leave. She clearly said, get out of town and go down to Florida. Then act surprised when they actually do. Now she's understanding, wait a minute. We need the wealthy. We need these major corporations, because how else are we going to fund our social programs? How are we going to give more money to illegal immigrants? So a few years ago, again, the message was clear. If you don't like it here, go somewhere else. And so the people listened. And now those same people are building businesses, growing wealth, and living better lives somewhere else. Meanwhile, the state they left behind is asking them to come back and cut us a check. We need the money. We're going broke. Now let's talk about these so-called generous programs, right? And we're going to put that in quotation marks. New York is spending, listen to this carefully, $81,000 per homeless person. And yet homelessness is still increasing. You're spending $81,000 per homeless people. Let that sink in. If massive spending actually solved the problem, you expect to see results, wouldn't you? Why don't we see cleaner streets? Why don't we have safer communities? Um, Fewer people would be struggling, but instead, the problem keeps growing. At some point, you have to ask yourself, is it really about the money being spent, or is it about how that money is being used? That is a good question. And here's where the bigger picture comes in. This is just federalism in action. People are voting with their feet. They're choosing states that align with their values, their finances, and their lifestyles. And when they do that, it sends a message, not about politics, but about results. So the real question goes to this. If people are leaving in large numbers, if businesses are relocating, if tax bases are shrinking, at what point do leaders stop blaming the people and start reevaluating the policies? And that's what she had to do. Because at the end of the day, you can't tax people into staying. You can't spin your way out of a bad policy, and you definitely can't push people away and then expect them to come running back. Think about it. Why would these millionaires and billionaires come back to New York? What is the incentives of coming back, starting a business when we know you have a socialist, almost communist, as the mayor of New York City, which typically sets the tone for the state and how the state is going to operate? So why would I come back knowing you're ready to take over 50% of our profits, 50% of our income to go fund people who just don't want to work? New York State spent over $13 billion on illegal immigrants. And you want businesses, corporations, high earning individuals to come back so we can fund lazy people? No, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. And the days of funding lazy people are now over. No one is working hard every day to fund someone who illegally comes into the country or who decides, I don't want to work. I want to live off of government assistance and I want to pass that on for generations to generation. It was someone recently on Twitter. This guy said he was getting $2,800 in food stamps, and now he's down to what, $400. And it's like, dude, go get a job. Like, why aren't you working? So those days are over. So no, Governor, no one is coming back to New York. People are leaving New York. Even Chase Bank has started to open up a corporate office down in the state of Texas. I believe it's in the city of Dallas or Austin, but I'll research that more. And that's because no one is going to fund your social programs. People are not going to sit and work every day so lazy people can come into this country illegally and live off of us. And it's sad to say there's a lot in the Muslim community who are living on government assistance. Why are people who are anti-American able to come into this country and live off the government? We're not going to fund Mondani's, or however he says his name, fund his group of people. We're not going to fund his social programs. We're not giving our money to people who don't want to work. So, Rampant Family, let me know what your thoughts are. Leave a comment in the comment section below, and let's get the discussion going. Let's talk about this. Would you come back if you left a state where they're trying to use all of your money to fund social programs for lazy people who don't want to get up and work and who just wants to live off the rich? There's just no way this can happen. And we need to remember this quote right here, which someone brought up from Margaret Thatcher. The problem with socialism is that you eventually run out of other people's money. And that is the problem. You're not going to be successful relying on other people's money. Everyone has free will to get up and work, to make a living for themselves. This is why America is the greatest country in the world, still is, but it won't be if we're going to move into a socialist society where we're expecting one half to work and everyone else to sit home and watch TV, surf the internet, and do absolutely nothing. So no, Governor, no one is coming here. So again, Rampant Family, thank you for tuning in. Again, let's get this discussion going. I am so interested to see what you all think about this whole debacle that is happening in the state of New York. And would you go? Are you someone that left the state of New York and went to Florida or Texas? And tell us how life is. Tell us how great it's going and why you would never go back to New York under this leadership, or would you ever go back to New York State? Because even the great President Trump, he left and he went to Florida and he hasn't looked back. So again, thank you for tuning in. Remember to hit the notification bell so you're notified when a new video is uploaded. And remember to remain curious, stay bold, and I'll see you in the next video.